Asdacross has just uploaded a new video titled Destiny 2 Community, We Need to Talk. So I figured I would watch and critique it with you all here. Let's go ahead and see what he has to say in this video.
Flash like mad. In one hand, I have many of you saying, Cross, we need more grind. We need to be challenged. We need a reset. Yes, just last week we did a video and you guys were saying, hey, we need a reset within Destiny.
I wouldn't
which
mind a
actually
reset
blew my
Destiny
mind.
2.
But I walked away from that conversation going, wow, the Destiny community, their appetite as gamers has evolved. These fellas are hungry, man. They want to grind. But then this past week, Bungie stated that they were going to be raising the power cap next season in Revenant by 10 levels. And dude, the community lost it. You guys lost it. And I'm not just talking about the folks over here on Twitter or even Bungie forums. I'm talking about people within our own stream. Everybody was dropping L's in the chat. Everybody was upset about this. By the way, these are the same individuals just a week ago that were saying, hey, the game has become too casual. We need a reset. We need to get rid of things like weapon crafting. So I think you can understand the position this puts me in. Not that I'm bringing feedback.
Well, the one thing I would say to critique that is, while people who do want a grind in Destiny 2, that plus 10 power grind is so monotonous and repetitive at this point in time, especially having played for 10 years. I know a lot of you have as well. That just make number go higher is really not the grind we're looking for. We want like new activities, new entertaining things to do in the game. Like obviously there's so many different, you could insert so many different things for this situation, but the plus 10 power grind is not the grind that we're looking for. We want a different type of grind, but let's see what else he has to say.
Back directly to Bungie. But if I was, hot damn it, fellas, you're making it tough. In one hand, you want to grind like your life depends on it. And in the other hand, you see 10 more power levels to grind for, and you spit on it. Keep in mind, at one point, we used to have to grind hundreds of levels for every expansion. Hell, for seasons, we would have to grind for 50 power levels. This is 10 levels. Now listen, I will agree with certain things, like upgrade modules being annoying. I do think there needs to be something in place where eventually you can go up to your vault, inject 100 upgrade modules, and boom, everything is now leveled up once you, of course, reach that pinnacle cap. The resource management in this game can be annoying. And don't even get me started on the glimmer cap. I know it's been raised, and guess what? It needs to be raised again. So I understand it for those woes. But to me, 10 power levels over a 4-month season, which is what episodes are, they're 4 months. They're long. Fellas, that's hardly nothing. Most of us will probably get that within the first week. If you even care about getting it within the first week. Something of which I don't really care about. I normally reach that pinnacle cap by week 2 or week 3 because it doesn't really matter to me to get it within the first week. There were so many people losing their mind for the power grind for final shape. But if you notice, you've had a lot of time here for that grind. And on top of that, even if you did reach the pinnacle cap, we've got contest mode for the dungeon coming next season. Meaning if you're already at the pinnacle cap now, 10 more levels is probably not gonna help you. But Cross, be real. Isn't this just a way for Bungie to boost engagement metrics? Look, that was a tweet put out by my friend Kujay. He stated right here, going back to requiring power increases for season.
This is very likely the reason why Bungie is doing this, because the metrics from the final shape have been very low, and so this is a way to get play session time up, obviously, so that way you have something to do. The problem is that the carrot on the end of this stick is, again, just super boring and repetitive. We've been doing this for 10 plus years. This isn't the grind that we want. We do want to grind, or at least some of us do. I would actually characterize the majority of Destiny 2 players not as people that want to grind, but more as people that just want to be entertained. If I had to speak for the majority of people, at least the ones that I interact with over the last 10 years, they just want to be entertained. They want something to do, something that's meaningful, some weapon to chase for, some activity that's fun and engaging. And that's kind of the main goal of this. And really the focal point that I sit on with this, where it comes to the fact that we're talking about grinding and power levels, like 10 years later, it's getting really old,
episodes
man.
After the removal of such was so widely celebrated amongst the community, it's a huge slap in the face.
No plus
At least
10
be
power levels.
honest about why you're doing it. That is a naked attempt to boost player engagement metrics. He then followed up by saying, hey Bungie, since you're bringing back seasonal power increases, can we get an update on your progress to address pinnacle power slot imbalances? It's been 4.5 years. Now Jay does have a point about the slot imbalances, meaning if you have a situation where all you need is a helmet, things should be weighted as such where a helmet would drop. I thought Bungie did address this at some point. Perhaps them just acknowledging it was my way of thinking they addressed it. RNG protection is important, and if you're in a situation where you're like, dude, I just need a helmet to reach that pinnacle cap, and you keep getting gloves, chest pieces, boots, class item, everything but a helmet, then obviously that's a problem. Now, Jay wasn't the only one. Paul Tassi even came out and said, yeah, no, thank you. We're all good here. Another player even saying, so this is what we call desperate for playtime. Increase the number grind. Lol. Now listen, fellas. I get it. This is the classic Bungie giveth and taketh away. But I gotta ask the question, fellas. At what point did we as the Destiny community become so goddamn casual? Hold up, fellas. I'm gonna be elitist right now. 10 power levels? I got day one raiders out here saying they can't do 10 power levels. From dual Destiny getting shit on and saying, oh my God, it's too much to find one other person to run a mission one time, to folks.
Well, I do respectfully disagree with his opinion on this part right here, because it's not that people are saying that they can't do plus 10 power levels. Like, no one's so casual that they can't possibly do that. It's just that we don't want to do that. It's just boring, repetitive garbage that we've been doing for 10 plus years.
Pissing on themselves because they can't get a raid item to drop despite us having options in the game available to us to increase our RNG if you do those triumphs. The reality is, fellas, we are going back in the direction of D2 vanilla. Have you seen the amount of exotics you have in your inventory? It's insane. We are heading in that direction, if not already there, with Destiny being so casual. We have a checklist of things to do. Everybody gets on, they grind their little red borders, they get their deep side harmonizers from their battle pass, they get the weapon pattern, and then they get the weapon at the crafting, and now that's it. Now here's the thing. Some of you are gonna say, Cross, you're being toxic right now. You're a streamer. You get to play this game whenever you want. I should be able to keep up with you. And my reply to that is lick my ass. Les, who works a 9 to 5 every day, who positively contributes to society. He's got a dog. He makes it to Maverick Games. He's got a fiance, and they have date night every Friday or Saturday. Listen, Les is not supposed to be able to keep up with me. I'm just leveling with you, fellas. You see, what Les experience should be is while he's on date night, he's rushing through his entree. He's telling his fiance, honey, we're gonna have to skip dessert. She gets frustrated on the way home and says, why? Why did our lovely evening get cut in half right now? And that's when he holds her hand and says, darling, I'm sorry. I had to make sacrifices this evening because Cross got that incandescent heel clip roll aberrant action, and he's having the time of his life. And right now, at this very moment, he's assembling a raid team to go far for that chaos reshaped nullify. And sweetheart, I could spend this moment with you right now, but just know if I did, in my heart, I would not want to be here. In my heart, I would want to be grinding for thy loot. And the last thing I want to be is insincere to you. That right there, my friends, is called sacrifice. So what? Les ends up divorced 3 years from now because of Destiny. It happens, fellas. We all have to make our decisions. But instead, Les doesn't have to worry about that. He doesn't skip dessert. He continues to stay out with his fiancée. They have a lovely evening. He continues to contribute positively to society. And when he logs into Destiny, well, he's pretty much identical to my character. And that's no bueno. 10 power levels, fellas. This is such a small thing in the grand scheme of potentially getting Destiny to where it should be. Yet folks are losing their mind. So I ask again, when did we as the Destiny community become so motherfucking casual? Dude, Destiny's becoming so routine now. People have like this mental checklist they do every week. They log in on Tuesday, they check the Eververse store, they do the weekly story. Yeah. They don't grind for anything because they already got red borders for everything. They save up deep side harmonizers for getting any potential weapon borders that drop. They're maxed out on exotic Ingrams. Exotics literally are meaningless. They're so meaningless now that they shouldn't even be called exotics. What happened to the day where that guy in the opposing team would annihilate you and your entire squad? And you ask yourself, how did he do it? How does he have an overshield? How does he see me through walls? That's one-eye mask, bitch. That's how he did it. And guess what? He's gonna do it again and again. And you ask your friend, how? How do I get such an exotic? And they would reply, use code ASTROS at gamersubs.com to increase your RNG. And even though the marketing of this is very important, and this is a small shout out to one of our sponsors, I'm not gonna lie to you fellas, it didn't help. Code ASTROS didn't help. RNG was fickle.
So see, he actually answers his own question here in this video where he's talking about the challenge that people are looking for, the grind that people are looking for. Now, even exotics, they used to be a grind, but it's become so easy to get exotics now in Destiny 2. So what Bungie has failed to do is raise the ceiling of this to make it more difficult to get the most desirable and most meaningful weapons. Now, obviously, there are adept weapons in the raid, and some of those can be extremely difficult to get. He references one of them as well, Nullify, I believe. And that is kind of like the carrot on the stick for players right now, is god rolls of legendary weapons, the ones that are not craftable. But honestly, at this point in time, if you play Destiny 2 regularly, you don't even have to focus on getting any of those. You could just have the exotics and the craftable weapons, and you're covered on basically everything. Like the new dungeon that's about to come out any raid, you could basically handle all of it with just the crafted weapons and exotics in the game. In my opinion, you should be able to clear it with most teams, but that's kind of a problem where Bungie hasn't made the game more challenging in a meaningful way. Imagine if there was a new rarity beyond exotic, where it was like we talked about before with the Black Armory many years ago, where there was like black weapons that were out there that are even more difficult to get. Like you have to do the craziest activities, really crazy time sink, but the weapons would be, they would just cast a shadow over all exotics. That could be interesting. It could also be a little monotonous if it's just a little bit better. It would have to be some wild weapons. I'm talking like dual wield, ace of spades type of craziness. Maybe one ace in one hand, one thorn in the other hand type of craziness. But let's see what else he has to say.
About the crystals. I went to a lady. I said, hey, oh tatted up, dreaded lady in the West, how shall I increase thy RNG? And dude, no lie, I walked away with 2 crystals, both of which were $40, which seemed extreme. But she said it would increase my RNG. Now I know you're probably thinking, that's crazy, Cross. Crystals, increasing your RNG without charging it with sunlight? How foolish of you. But no, really guys, we will go to great extent to get to a point where something will drop for us in this game. And that's because we desire that thing. I bought a money tree. I held it every time we killed Atheon. Do you know how hard it is to do DPS with a money tree in your hand? And guess what? Vex Mythic class dropped. The point is I wanted that drop. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly desired anything within Destiny? This game has lost that aspiration for greatness. It has given us this checklist of things to do. And I know Bungie says it's because we need to make the game more penetrable so that new players would find penetration. But the only thing getting penetrated around here is my gaming experience asshole. And not in a good way. When an exotic used to drop on the ground, I would jump for joy. When that palindrome dropped with rangefinder and quick draw, I knew the stars had aligned. And when you fuckers made me delete it, I wept. For weeks I wept, as it should be. This loot should be so coveted within Destiny. The power fantasy should be so envied that you, despite having a family and loved ones, you start looking for things to sacrifice because it's goddamn worth it. Families come and go, fellas, but what you earn in video games stay forever, unless it gets sunset, or in the worst case, shut down. But the point I'm trying to make is, I have not cared about anything in Destiny for a very long time. I've got this cheesy chore list bullshit that means nothing in the grand scheme of things. I get you all have balanced lives, and I respect you for that. But in order for Destiny to be successful, hell, in order for any game to be successful, the degenerates, dare I say, we, the degenerates, should be rewarded.
All right, so to the last point that he makes there is that he hasn't desired anything in Destiny 2 for quite some time now. I also agree with this sentiment strongly, that I've been playing the game for quite some time. And so it's really just every time a new activity comes out, we can kind of assess the new weapons and we're like, okay, new SMG, but doesn't have as good perks as this SMG, new shotgun, but this shotgun that already exists is craftable and has, better perks and stuff like that. This seems to happen over and over and over again, but really the main point that I would draw back to is that plus 10 power doesn't resolve this by any means. This adds, again, just a more repetitive grind to the game, and Bungie should really try to seek new mediums and ways to engage the Destiny 2 players. If they want to get that play session time higher, it's going to have to be in more creative and original ways, not just falling back on the old tried and true, which is, make number go higher, give them a power grind increase, which the Destiny 2 player base in general really appreciated when that actually went away. That was actually a great change that when it did happen. So hopefully the feedback is heard from Bungie and maybe they actually do away with this. I don't know. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. If you want the plus 10 power increase to go away, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.